Okay, guys, I did a kind of rambling, slow life update, which probably wasn't that entertaining for my last video, but this video I would like to get into stacking the shelves. I'm going to have this video be the ones I got, the books I got for review, and then the books that I borrowed from like library or Kindle. Um, and then I'll have audiobooks because I've been doing a ton of audiobooks because of all the renovation work and all the driving back and forth from Twin Cities to Duluth in another video. So that being said, I'm going to start with the review books I've gotten, and this is since April. So the first one I got for review is The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. This is the first book in the Dearly Beloved duology. It comes out July 8th. I am reading it right now. So it's supposed to be a slow burn enemies to lovers fantasy duology where there is an assassin that has a rare disease and he needs healing, and the only one who can provide it is a woman scientist who is a member of a competing order from his. And it has been very well written so far and very easy to read, and I am enjoying it. And I'm not very far, I think I'm like 15% of the way in. All right, the next one I got for review is The Undercutting of Rosie and Adam by Megan Bannon, and this is the third book in the Heart and Mercy series. This also comes out early July 8th. These are always fun, like kind of unconventional romances set in alternate fantasy world. This one's about the immortal demigod Rosie Fox, and she's getting tired of patrolling Tanria. And when she messes up the portal, this forces Adam Lee to come and fix it. However, Adam knows that there's a lot more going on here than he has let on, and both of them are trapped in the mist with a capital M. And together, they're trying to work out a way to get free. All right, the next one I got for review is Making History by KJ Parker. This is supposed to be a darkly humorous historical fantasy about a bunch of academics being forced to literally remake history or lose their heads. I haven't read KJ Parker for a really long time, so I'm looking forward to this. And this one comes out in September. All right, next one I got for review is Girls of Dark Divine by E.V. Woods. This is supposed to be a dark gothic fantasy about a ballet troupe that is bound by a curse that makes them obey the show's mastermind. And, you know, this is okay, maybe, but not ethical on stage, but it's worse when he's making them do things outside of the ballet. And this comes out in August. Next one for review comes out in September, and that is To Clutch a Razor by Veronica Roth. This is the second book in the Cursed Bearer series, and it again is about Demeter, who gets called home for a funeral with a side quest from Baba Yaga. However, a horrible creature of legend follows him there and causes a whole bunch of trouble. All right, and then the last book I got for review comes out in October, and that's Colin Gets Promoted and Dooms the World by Mark Waddell. This, as I said, comes out October 7th. Sounds like a very kind of tongue-in-cheek story about a man who works for a company called Dark Enterprises, and he is literally dying to get promoted. So, and when he does, things happen. All right. So now going into the books I borrowed from library or from Kindle Unlimited. The first one I got from the library, and that is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. I think I said that right. This was okay, but I didn't think it was as wonderful as it's been touted to be. It's about a, I'm going to say cardiologist, but I think it's pulmonary surgeon. It's about a surgeon who basically gets diagnosed with lung cancer and finds out he doesn't have very long to live. And he goes from working to be like top person in the world in his practice to suddenly having to fight for his life every day and becoming a patient in that. In the very thing he practiced. And it's a lot of talking about how that changes his thinking in his life, right? When he's actually the patient, you know, instead of the doctor, and how that changes how he thinks about his patients. Oh my gosh, we have another, hi buddy, he's back. This one is trouble. So yeah, I don't know. To me, it sounded a little bit like, I mean, he's obviously very privileged, and yes, he is dying, but his complaints about things come off a little hollow to me because he is getting kind of the best care and he has the funds to get care. And there are so many people that don't even have that. I have great sympathy to anyone who's fighting, you know, a deep illness like this, but this whole book felt a little privileged to me, if you know what I mean. Anyways, it's an interesting book to read. I think I gave it 4 stars. It's decent. It's written okay. Honestly, the best part of the book is the afterword written by his wife, who him and his wife were having a lot of marital problems when he found out he had cancer, and her portion of it actually felt very impactful to me, whereas his whole portion of it, he's going on about trying to write this book and everything, and I just felt like, dude, you feel like, I know you're having a hard time and whatever, but some of the stuff he was complaining about, like, think about how bad people have it who don't have health insurance and don't have all the privileges you have. Anyways, talk way too long about that. All right, the next one I borrowed from the library was the Woodsmoke Woman's Book of Spells by Rachel Greenlaw. I'm actually having trouble. What did he just do? The kitten just did something. It made a noise. The little orange one that's causing trouble. Black and white one. Artie's being good. Anyways, this one, I think I gave 3 stars. I just don't remember a lot about it. It's kind of like a paranormal thing about a woman who finds out that she, can you stop? Has witches in her background, and I don't know. It's small town thing. Like, she's gonna inherit some of this spellbook magic stuff from her elderly neighbor, and she didn't want to go back to this town. It was okay. It wasn't very impactful though, because I don't know. I feel like I've seen a lot of books like that. All right. Next one I got that I borrowed from the library is Heart of a Dog by Mikhail Bulgakov. Oh, would you stop? This whole video is going to be me trying to get the kitten to not destroy the whole office area here, the office/bedroom. I know. Maybe you could just be good. Can you do that? He's like, no, I can't be good. There you go. This is another one that's like a fairly well-known novella. It's supposed to be making fun of some of the things going on in Russia at the time, so it's got historical bent to it. It's about a surgeon who basically turns a dog into a man, and then the dog becomes despicable because he's now part man. I didn't really like it, but I understand why people talk about it so much, because it does have some, implications. All right, then the next one I got is another novella, The Seep by Chana Porter. I borrowed this from the library. I actually like this quite a bit. This is kind of a future world where an alien force has come, and they aren't really trying to conquer humanity. They're just like providing this drug called the seep that gets put into the water and supply for everything, that just makes everybody very happy and complacent. And one of the main characters doesn't want to be complacent. She wants some conflict in her life. She wants some difference, and that's what this is kind of about. Her wife decides that she wants to experience being born again, which makes her wife a baby again, and they get in a kind of a conflict over that. And it's an interesting concept, but I actually really liked it. I thought it was really well written and really interesting. The concept is very, very kind of crazy, honestly. It's like a quiet alien takeover. All right. The next one I got is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland, and I'm hesitating on this one because I know I read it, but I can't remember what it was about. Ugh. Maybe we'll come back to that one. But House Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. I also finally read Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is one that's been on my to-be read list for quite a while. I liked it. I don't think I'll read the rest of the series, because from what I've heard, the next 2 books in the series are very much similar in vein to the first book. And I did think the first book got a little bit long. Like, I liked seeing the development of like the sentient spider and like what was going on with the humans, and kind of jumping back and forth, but there were such huge time gaps in between some of the parts of the story that felt kind of disjointed. And then it did the back and forth thing for so long, it started to feel almost a little slow. So I like the concept of it, but I don't think I'll read the rest of the series. All right, the next one I got from the library was Chain Gang All Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah, and I probably murdered that, so sorry. I love this one. It is 5 stars. This was a kind of a post-apocalyptic thing where the justice systems allows people to buy into kind of a gladiatorial type of scenario, rather than be in prison. There's a lot of really interesting footnotes about like current prison facts, which I found absolutely fascinating. Like some of them I knew, but some of them I did not know. Some of the statistics and stuff were presented, and I think like I really love the story and the characters, and I thought it was very engaging. There's a lot of like political commentary to it as well, but I think the footnotes really helped like drive things home and make it really interesting to me. All right, the next one I got from the library was The Manual of Detection by Jedediah Barry. Um, this is the second Jedediah Barry book I have read, and I kind of feel similar about to the last one. I think I didn't finish the last one, but the naming song I think was the last one I read. I ended up stopping it about 70% of the way in. This was similar for me. I really liked the beginning. I thought the atmosphere of the world was really good. I thought the mystery was really good, but then as it went on, it just kind of got boring. Like the main character doesn't really develop. Things get very weird and ambiguous. There's like a sleeping plague hitting the city, and there's a lot of parts of the book where you don't know if the main character is asleep or awake. You don't know if things are a dream or they're not. It just got very hard to follow and very convoluted, and so I liked the first part of it. I wasn't so big on the second half of the book. All right. The next two are books in the same series, and I borrowed these through Kindle Unlimited. That's Futuristic Violence in Fancy Suits by Jason Pargin and Zoe Punches the Future in the Dick by Jason Pargin. These are the first and second book in the Zoe Ash series. I've really been wanting to read this series. It sounds very darkly funny. It sounds like something that'd be right up my alley. So looking forward to reading those. I have not read those yet, but I plan to soon. All right, and then the last book I borrowed from the library is To You at the Altar, Tomes and Tea Book 3 by Rebecca Thorne. I enjoyed this. This is a cozy fantasy that has maybe a little bit more action than most cozy fantasies, although this third book really didn't have much of that, so I did not like it as much as the second book. In this book, our two main characters are still living in their small town, running a tea shop, and they are supposed to get married, but they're also trying to put together a plot to entrap the queen and overthrow the throne. So my kitten is very busy. That's so, as I said in my life update video last week, that's Neato. The one sleeping back there is Artie. There are two new additions to the household, and they are less than a year old, so they are very active little dudes, except for Artie's just taking a hardcore nap, I guess. All right, so those are all the books that I got this week, and yeah, I hope you guys got a lot of great, well, not this week. This was like the last 2 months. I will follow this up with a video of all the audiobooks I got because there are just a lot of them. And yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to say. I haven't been doing these for a while, so I think I'm a little bit more unscripted and polished than normal, but that's okay. You got to get into it somehow. And hopefully in a couple months, I'll have a more dedicated recording space rather than my office/bedroom/recording space that I have right now because of the situation of us still doing some remodeling work on the top floor of this house. So, all right. Well, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.